Okay, is this part 4 or 5? I don't remember anymore. We did A and B in part 1, C and D in part 2, E, F, G, H, part 3. I think this is part 4. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Let's go on to the I's. This plane. I don't know. Isabella. Well, we're making headway. We're already almost done with the I's. Isabella's cool. I think. Let's see. We'll put her right after Hector. I think she's a good character. She's pretty interesting. She has a distinct personality. That's maybe not something we've never seen before, but it's still a good, like, kind of personality that you can build off of. She's a very good character. I'd love to see her interact with Elizabeth. Same design. Like, I guess you could call them sisters. That'd be a fun interaction. Even, like, the fact that their names are, like, kind of similar. Elizabeth, Isabella. It always as a kid, I kind of had that connection in my mind. I thought, like, they're definitely sisters, and they definitely have, like, some relationship that you can kind of work off of. That'd be really fun to see. Ivan, I don't know. Compared to, like, Axel and Frida and Carlos, I don't know. I'm not really ordering these international, or these, not international, not all of them are. Well, I guess all of them right now are, but they maybe won't be later on. But the new Phone Who Dis characters, I'm not really ordering much because, again, I have, like, no opinions on them, like, whatsoever. If anything, I think this guy's face is kind of ugly, and I think her design is really nice. So that's really the extent of the order of these characters on this list. With that said, let's go on to Jack, and I think I really like Jack. Jack is my favorite pack character, which maybe is kind of basic. But I just really like him. He just stuck with me as a kid. Also, hot take, I like his CGI design more than his model. That's why I put his CGI one as the picture on this template when I put the model renditions of most of the characters. Because for most of the characters, I like the model version a lot more. But Jack is a character I like the CGI one more, both like his shape and his face. I think he just looks better. Jack's just kind of adorable. He's just this. I think he's exactly what, like, the Cleo type of character should be. Because always kind of in my head, I kind of envisioned Jack was, like, literally just built. And I always kind of headcanoned that Jenny Packer just built him herself. And that kind of explains why he doesn't really have an exact basis. And, like, she, like, just built him. And, like, she built him, and he's like, all right, put him on a flatbed. Here he is, Thomas. So, like, that's him, like, day 1 or day 2 or something. So, like, Cleo, like, she comes out of the works and she's like a toddler, and I kind of hate that. It makes me ask a lot of questions that I never wanted to ask. Oops. And I think Jack is kind of the answer to those questions almost. Like, he's, I think, maybe the closest we have to, like, a baby character, at least when we first meet him. I think like by, like, the pack series, he's more of, like, a little, I guess, older, I guess. But I think when we see him, he's about as close to, like, what a vehicle character is to a baby. And I think at that point, I would equate him to, like, a human, like, 12-year-old or something, which is kind of how I would say, like, vehicle characters are when they're, like, just built. But yeah, I've been talking about Jack for too long. Let's go to James. That was an abrupt ending, but I don't want to be making this list for 5 hours. I'm probably gonna stop after this one and, like, record the rest tomorrow. This doesn't affect you guys because you're just seeing this, like, day by day or whatever. James is lovely. I'm gonna boy, any of these characters, I love all of them so much. I could honestly rearrange this, like, any which way, and I just love these characters. Nah, maybe not quite. Yeah, that seems fair. Again, like, Railway Series James, even Classic Series, Hit Era James, so good. He's got more depth, I think, than people even give him credit for. Like, I can say James is maybe the least developed, but I think he's honestly got a really interesting story that we kind of overlook. I think it's kind of underplayed maybe a bit, like in the books themselves, so like we don't see it as much. It's more subtle. But I think he's really got an interesting development, like character journey. Like Gordon Henry. Honestly, Gordon Henry and James, I'm just gonna say they are just like the best characters in the Railway series. I have Henry a little lower than them. I guess kind of some like Boko, Cranky, and twins kind of click with me a little bit more. But like Henry is really just as good, if not like overall like better written. Um, but maybe just for me personally, like 0.03% lower. Because again, like really like these first 3 tiers, maybe not the first one because I think that's kind of set in stone, but like these 2 tiers I could hit shuffle on, and I just love these characters a lot. And like this tier kind of too, maybe a little less so, but like still these are all wonderful characters. These are all like just amazing characters that I adore. And Gordon, Henry, and James are so good. They've got such good arcs in the Railway series, and I love them so much. Well, let's go on. Jeremy. Okay. Hi, Jeremy. We'll put you over here. He's cool. He's fine. Yeah, I could even put him a little higher. I don't know. He's not bad. I kind of like what they went for him. Like, he's kind of reminiscent of like early Harold or Bertie, who's kind of got a rivalry. He's kind of a bit of a superiority complex to like the Railway. But then they kind of just like didn't do anything interesting with him after that, and he just was there. He was just a plane. So I don't know. Maybe, you know what? He honestly fits pretty well. This needs some love tier. That's right. Yeah. All right, Jerome and Judy. They're cool. I think they're like I think yeah, they cool is kind of where I want to put them, right around here. Yeah. They're very fun. There's not a lot to them. They're the breakdown train, and they behave about how you would expect a breakdown train to act. But yeah, they're neat. I like them. Yeah. Kelly is quite nice. Let's see, where Kelly? I think I like him more than Alfie. Belle. More than Bradford? No, I don't think more than Bradford. Yeah, that's a good spot. Kelly was very good. Very nice voice of reason kind of character. I mean, he is very Edward-like. But I think integrating that kind of like nervous side of him, like with the Kelly's Windy Day episode, felt more natural than I think it would have with Edward, since Kelly has more kind of unexplored territory, so you can kind of take him. In fact, I might even apply a lot of kind of Edward's later, like, insecure kind of portrayals. Because, like, Edward has insecurities, no doubt. But, like, when it gets a little too much, I almost might kind of apply that characterization to Kelly. And I think that could be a good way to kind of distinguish them. But Kelly's pretty cool. Kenji. Oh boy, I can't even remember what his voice sounds like, honestly. I don't know. Like, maybe he's a little better than that. But I don't know. I mean, shit. Yeah, I don't know. He was a thing, I guess. Kevin! Where'd he go? Oh, shoot, there he is. Kevin is a very good character. I think it's a little wacky the way he, like, flops all over the place, but he's another kind of thing. I talked about this with George, how, like, his basis informs his character so well. Like, his basis was known for being clumsy and cumbersome, and they translated that to a character really well. And maybe you have to kind of figure out a way to make that work without him being maybe a little nonsensical, like especially in like No Snow for Thomas, where he's just out doing donuts. I mean, that's a little goofy. But just like his personality, like that's a specific incident that you could, I don't know, do something else with. But like his personality just translates from his basis really well, and I really appreciate that. So you know what? We're gonna put him up here. This guy, I don't know. Yeah. Kwaku, that's his name. I am actually not going to put him here. I think he was pretty cool. He had a fun little interaction with Nia, and I kind of wish we saw a little more of him. He kind of been Nia's friend that we like saw him to, and that helped flesh Nia out a bit too. Based on like the way they interacted, which it did a little bit, and I kind of appreciate like how like that interaction that he has with Nia does kind of give her a little something to work with. I kind of just wish there was a little more of it, but we're gonna put him right around here. Incidental Chad. That is, I maybe wouldn't say perfectly sufficient, but like, yeah, he was cool. I don't know, guys. Like, what even is she? Like, I don't know. She doesn't even. She's not canon, so I don't care. Yeah. Oh goodness gracious. On one hand, I want to say this because I forget this guy's name all the time. Lay, is that? Yeah. Gosh, I hated that episode. That was the most boring episode I think I've like ever in the show. Runaway Truck. That was such a boring episode. Goodness gracious. That was the first episode in the show that like I could not sit through. Like the first time I watched it, like I was so bored that I just like even like say what you will about the like Nitrogen, the Miller era, but like those episodes. Okay, so I mean they're a bit repetitive, and that got a little bit like okay, I'm starting to lose attention. But like the stuff that was happening was so goofy that like at least I was kind of engaged. This episode, oh my gosh, it was boring, and I think for that reason alone, he's going down here. Like, goodness gracious, it took me like 3 tries to finish that episode. Gosh, Lexi, honestly, kind of all the like Journey Beyond Soda characters besides our Lord and Savior Beresford up here are kind of going to be in this mixed feelings range because it's kind of like I want to like them and like I do like them to some extent, but I don't know. So, kind of missed the mark in some ways. Logan, his design is really cool. I'll give him that. And I think, honestly, I think it would have been a great idea to have him like stay in the show. Like of all the characters from like this story collection, the merchandise exclusive, to bring in the show, why was it Sam? Like it made sense for how they did it, like having him be in America when Thomas was there. Like that makes a lot of sense. So like I'm not upset about how they brought him in, but like Logan, just keep him on Sodor, have him like work at the coaling plant. That'd be perfect. And then like you have Sonny come in, because where's Sonny at? He's somewhere around here. There he is, and like have them work together. That'd be really fun. So I'm like Logan. Just for like the potential I kind of want to work into him, I'm gonna put maybe a little higher than he deserves. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's neat. He looks really cool. And I feel like I could think of a lot of fun ideas for him. Maybe more so than like Sam or whoever. This guy's freaking sucks. I honestly think I'd like him better actually if Pepe the Frog was like didn't exist and it was just this guy and he was just this total asshole. Because the issue here with the two of them is like they're this pair who's supposed to be best friends, but this guy's just such a jerk, and like oh gracious, and like this guy, like it feels so toxic and just uncomfortable. But I think if he was out of the picture and it was just him being a horrible person, I think I would enjoy him more. But I just can't enjoy him when he's being like specifically mean to a character that like they're being put together as best friends. Like it's like in some parts of the CGI series where like Oliver's kind of being a dick to Toad, and that just doesn't sit right with me. Like, yeah, I'm just not into that kind of. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if this is like controversial, but I don't think it's like popular either. But I adore Luke. He is my favorite narrow gauge engine. He is just so precious. And like the first time, Blue Mountain Mystery as a whole, like honestly, it hits me in a really good spot. It like when the first time I watched it, I was like 12 or whatever, and I was almost kind of like it was like the first kind of time in my life where I was like really hitting kind of like emotional, like difficult kind of things. Because I mean, before that, I was just like, I don't know. I guess my life was easy, and I just wasn't aware of bad things, so I was always happy. And then I kind like it was right around that time when I like first like started to feel any like it first felt like any like profound sadness that I could recognize, and that movie came in, and it just really, I don't know, it was just really great. And Luke is just like in the movie and outside of it, like his story. I don't know. It kind of gets. I don't know. It just hits me right there, and I really love this little guy. Um. So yeah, he's just a very special character. Um. We'll go on and go to Madge. No, she did not belong in that tier. Madge is great. Madge is really good. She's a character. There. I mean, I think if I had to pick any character that like didn't return in CGI, it's a toss up between Boko. I know Boko's kind of one of the popular choices, but like beyond just being one of the Audrey characters that didn't come back, I just really like Boko, so I would have loved to see him again. And Elizabeth. I think those would be kind of my two picks. But Madge is kind of up there. Like, there's so much you could. Oh, you know what? No. Yeah, I want him to return. Um, but Madge is really cool. Um, I think she could have had a great dynamic with the narrow gauge engines, especially if they were being like properly characterized. So yeah, I think Madge is great. Goodness sakes, oh, that's getting tiring. Yeah, these guys kind of lame, kind of suck. I mean, they're discount bash and dash really, and like at first I kind of was like, okay, that's kind of fun, but I don't know. It feels like they I don't know. It feels like they wanted to be like, oh, look, it's Bash and Dash, but better. And for one thing, for me, who already likes Bash and Dash, that's kind of a slap to the face. And also, I mean, there's kind of an uncomfortable thing you have to work through with them. Just they, their line of work is not necessarily respectable. We'll just leave it at that. And that kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So yeah, Marion. Marion's quite a good character. I will say, I think maybe I like her a little bit less than other people. Which is not to say I don't like her. I think the thing that gets me is, for a long time, they seem to not really know what they wanted Marion to be. Like, at first, she was this, like, she had this dualism of, like, being really bubbly and talkative, but also kind of being this stern motherly figure, like with Bill and Ben. And I think that was nice. She felt like she had two sides to her, and that felt appropriate. And I think she's really fun, like in Lost Treasure, but I almost wonder if they play the kind of wacky side of her a little too hard. Because I don't know if I can justify, like, season 18, like, stern, like, Clay Pitt's mother Marion with Lost Treasure Magic Marion. And it kind of feels like they didn't quite know what they wanted her to be. And then Lost Treasure came out, and they kind of decided that's what we want Marion to be. And, like, that's what she was in, like, season 20 and onwards. And I don't know. I kind of wish they stuck with a little bit of the more subtle version of her, like in season 18, where she was still very talkative and bubbly and goofy. But, like, she felt a little more grounded, and I felt like I could reasonably see her having that other sterner side to her. Because I'm not sure it works for me all the time. And maybe there's a part of me that just thinks, like, her sterner side could have just been Boko. People say Timothy... Oh, goodness gracious. People say Timothy is a Boko clone, and that is silly. It is of the... That is a silliness of the highest degree. Marion, when she's in, like, Claypit's mom mode, that's a lot more understandable to say she's like Boko. There's still differences, but it's more understandable. But anyways, we're going to put Marion right around here. I think that's fair for her. She's still quite good, but I think she feels a little inconsistent to me sometimes. And maybe a little too much at times. But she's still fun. Mavis. Boy, I'm losing my voice a bit here. This will be my last one for now, for the night. Mavis is such an underappreciated character. And also, like, I feel like she's misunderstood in a lot of ways. I'm going to put her right here. I think I kind of hold some of these characters a little too close to my heart to put Mavis above. But Mavis is great. It upsets me the way she was depicted from season 6 onwards. A lot of people will be like, oh, she was developed, and, like, that's her. No, she was not developed. She was derailed. That is a different character. Like Mavis in season 3, like, she was feisty, or, like, I should say the Railway series, because season 3 maybe isn't perfect with her, but, like, it's still generally the same character. But, like, season 3, Railway series, whatever, Mavis, she's young, she's feisty, independent, she's got her own ideas, a bit standoffish, but she's not, like, a mean character. She's just, a bit stubborn and all, which I think is perfect for Toby. Their dynamic was so good because Toby is such a stubborn old fart, and Mavis is so stubborn, so they contrasted so well. Like, because in their stories, it's not a total, like, Mavis is in the wrong, Toby is in the right. Like, and they, like, address that. Like, Toby is just straight up, like, sick of dealing with her, and he's like, you know what, fine. Deal with these trucks yourself. You frick this. And storms off, and she gets in a mess, and he's like, well, screw her, I'm not helping her. Like, Toby's kind of an ass, and I love that. I wish we got that Toby more. That is just peak Toby. Boy, I love Toby. But, like, oh, they were so good. And then she learns a lesson. She learns, like, okay, I was in over my head, and I should, like, listen and, like, learn stuff. And that's good. But, like, she is still a young character. She's still feisty, independent, and then she just becomes this motherly figure. And I guess if it's, like, Mavis and Bill and Ben, that's one thing, because, like, Mavis kind of she very much has the vibes of, like, a rebellious, like, 16-year-old, whereas Bill and Ben, I could almost, like, I've kind of more, like, called them, like, little 12-year-olds or something. So I could see her being a bit more, like, authoritative with them. Like, they could be like her little brothers. And that can kind of work. But then when it's with, like, Thomas, like in the CGI series, Thomas the Quarry Engine bugs me. Because, like, she's got this, like, I don't know about if I'd say protective, but, like, very just, like, motherly vibe to it. And, like, with Tom, again, it's kind of more of a Thomas issue because Thomas is, like, depicted as such, like, a child, and don't like that. But it was not a good look for Mavis. And Mavis, when she's Mavis, is great, and, like, yeah, top 3 tier character. I honestly, like, I could combine these tiers, maybe maybe in turn for creating the perfectly sufficient incidental Chads tier, I'll combine the holds passionately Zunes how splendid tiers. I think I won't, just to kind of keep a little bit more distinction. And maybe I'll be burnt on the stake if I have the Logging Locos and Edward in the same tier. But also, I don't really care. As long as you burn me, as long as the stake is made of Joby wood, then I will not care. If you're going to burn me at the stake, do it right. All right, let's go on. Max and Monty. Max and Monty are really fun. CGI Max and Monty aren't bad. I think it's mostly their voices. I don't really love either of their, like, the dubs for them. I think the UK dub is a little better for them, but both dubs are not great. But I do quite like them. And I think we're gonna actually put them A. That's pretty good. They're gonna be pretty high in this tier. I think they might be my favorite pack members besides Jack. Yeah, I think this is a good spot for them. They're fun. Merlin, this is kind of controversial, but not... this feels like I'm giving him too much credit, and this feels like I'm being too harsh. And this just isn't really accurate. I guess I'm gonna go with my harsher side and put him at the top. I don't know. He's so gimmicky and just like I don't know, he gets so much praise. It's like, oh, he's the best, like, experiment. He's the best Journey Beyond Soder character. And, like, as a wise God of Thunder once said, is he, though? I don't know. I like that they, I do appreciate that, like, they tied in his basis, like, to his personality. I appreciate that. And, in fact, you know what? For that, I'll put him up here. Because I like that attention to detail. But just as far as, like, his personality goes, he's really repetitive, and I don't know. He's just... I don't know. It didn't work for me. Yeah. Alright, let's go on. Merrick. This is gonna be a weird one, because, I don't know. I really like Merrick. It's, like, Merrick is such a nothing character. There's no good reason to like Merrick, but I don't know. I really like Merrick. And I'm gonna go ahead and, like, where is he at? There he is. I'll put Owen right with him. In fact, I'll put Owen a little higher, because I think Owen's got a little more going for him. So we'll put him one above Merrick. I don't know. If it's something, maybe it is just, like, Blue Mountain Mystery, like I was saying, just kind of, like, really, like, was just a really special, I guess, movie for me. But, like, I don't know. Just, I really like them. What can I say? They don't have much going for them, and, like, realistically, they probably should be down here. Some people might even put them lower. But if I was maybe being, like, totally fair and objective, I'd probably put them here. But I don't know. I'm just quite fond of them. So, yeah. Like, I can't quite call myself, like, the ultimate Owen and Merrick defenders, like I could say with Dennis. He is, like, my selected nothing character that I will defend to the death. But they are other nothing characters that I also just quite like, and they're as we've gone over, there are plenty of those characters. I'm gonna be so hypocritical here in a bit when we get to some of these characters, but I don't care. And you know what? On some level, there is some differences, but you know what? I won't dwell on that for too long. Mighty Mac. Of all the twin characters, these are maybe the ones that I should have separated, ironically. So they're not even really twins, however that works. I think this is probably a good tier for them. But pretty high in the tier, right around here. They're good. The concept is maybe a little gimmicky, and maybe kind of traps you a little bit for storytelling, but it also can open a lot of doors that I think they didn't really open many of the doors they could have. So yeah, I don't know. They're cool, and I have, like, there's a lot of really good story ideas that I can pull from them, but just I think what we got of them is kind of just like, yeah, they're all right. Mike, best Arlesdale engine, which I think is probably not that unpopular of an opinion. But he is wonderful and I love him. I'm gonna put him right here. I will say, while I'm on the topic of the Arlesdale engines, I've said this before on Twitter, but I kind of wish they had different voices. I want to say, I've always kind of pictured Mike with kind of this squeaky voice. So I want to say like the Bert voice, but a little more like angry sounding, I guess. And then I want to say like Rex, wherever he's at, there he is, with Mike's voice, and Bert with Rex's voice. So I would like switch all of the voices. I feel like all three of them. But voices aside, just character-wise, they're all really good. Mike's my favorite. Bert's probably my least favorite. We'll get to Rex down the line, but I guess I just spoiled that he's going to be somewhere between Hero and Kevin. So yeah, let's go on to Millie. Millie's a good character. Yeah, I do quite like her. Yeah, I think the Yeah They Cool tier is going to be a good tier for her. I think above Freddie, above Belle, above Kelly. Yeah, I quite like Millie. Yeah. Molly's a character that I kind of wish, I like her, and I wish she was better, but she's kind of just not. And she didn't like stick. Like, I mean, Owen and Merrick. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite here. Like, I could similarly say I like wish they were better, and like maybe I kind of do, but like I don't know. Like, they just worked for me, and like Molly does in some ways, like to the point where it's like I'd like to see her again. Like, I'll get to Neville in a second, and like I don't really care if we never see Neville again. But like Molly, I want to see again, and I want to see her get better. And I think for that reason, I'm going to put her up here. But I don't know. She's just not that flushed out of a character, not that interesting. She kind of does fall into that, like, just, I'm the new engine. And she has like some level of personality, like compared to like Neville. I'm gonna rag on Neville so much in this video, but these videos. But yeah, she's just nothing much to her. Let's go on to Murdoch. Murdoch, he's really good. Other than Fergus, he is probably my least favorite Season 7 newbie. But I do still quite like him. He's gonna be right around here, I think. Yeah, okay. He's good. He's kind of almost in a similar boat to Molly, but just a few steps ahead of like I want to see him get better. I can fix him, that kind of thing. He's maybe a little bit further along than she is in that process, but I don't know. He's good. Natalie. Now this is gonna be kind of another one of those, very much like Carter. In fact, I'm gonna put her right next to Carter, because they're kind of similar in this regard. They're both like San Francisco characters in the Bwubba movie. They really did nothing, but I really enjoyed what little they did. Like, she's got a few lines, but they work so much personality into those few lines. She's got this real bubbly kind of, like, they really are just like the two sides of like the store clerk. They give me very much like SpongeBob and Squidward vibes, where like Natalie's just so excited to help everyone who comes in the yard, and Carter's just like, okay. I mean, on one hand, you could almost just say Carter's kind of just like cranky, but I don't know. I mean, for one, we don't really see a lot of him, so he is maybe kind of like discount cranky, but I don't know. I think he was fun, and I think there's an interesting dynamic between Carter and Natalie that we didn't get to see that I think is really fun and interesting. And I really like the idea of like putting the two of them on Sodor and have that dynamic. Because I think they're really fun. And they're British bases, so like why not? Ned. Ned's fine. He's a good, fine character. Yeah, put him around. Yeah, he's fun. He's funny. He's charming. Yeah. Nelson's kind of another one of those characters. There's not much to him, but I don't know. He comes across to me kind of lofty. Like he's I mean, of all the pack is they're a construction crew. They're digging, they're building things and getting dirty. And Nelson carries them around. I totally see him as like the top hat of the pack. Which honestly, I could draw so many like Tugs pack parallels. Like you've got your 10 cents, you've got your Sunshine, you've got your Big Mac, you've got your OJ, you've got your Warrior. Like really, they're all here. I don't know who Hercules would be in that. I guess. I don't know. Hercules. I don't know. But I don't know. Nelson, like he's the clean one in the pack, and I think there's a really kind of fun dynamic there that again we don't really get to see. But for that, I'm gonna put him here. I maybe can't quite justify putting him here, even though I put Owen and Merrick there. So I don't know what my rationale is exactly, but I think Nelson is going to be here. He is, I think, my next favorite of the pack after Max and Monty. So yeah. Here he is. Okay, Neville. See, I'm conflicted on where to put Neville, because on one hand, I have very little, like, strong feelings towards him, because he's, like, let's be real, guys, Neville has nothing going for him. He has, like, 3 lines in the show. 2 of them are, hello, hello. I guess 4 lines. He has hello, hello, thank you, and the brass band is arriving at Brendam Docks, or whatever it is. Like, he is the epitome of, like, the merchandise new character of the week. Like, we complain about that in the Hit era all the time. And he is the embodiment of that. And on one hand, that makes me want to just put him in here, because, like, he really is just so nothing. On another hand, I almost feel like I rag on him so much, I should put him down here. But, like, I don't dislike Neville. I don't know. He's just there. But, like, I feel like this does him a disservice, but then I think, like, how can you do Neville a disservice? I don't freaking know, Neville. And I can't say mixed feelings. I don't have a good thing to say about Neville besides he's got a fun basis. I'll be nice to Neville and put him here. But I don't know. Neville is just the epitome of nothing. He is such a nothing character. Not even in a way like Bertram is. Bertram never spoke a line. But, like, he didn't have to. The episode is ultimately, like, about him, in a way. Like, it's about Toby, but, like, it's about Toby. Like, I don't know, Bertram didn't need to talk or, like, to have much of a presence. He was just, like, he was a perfectly sufficient incidental Chad. Neville, I don't know. I'm going to move on from Neville and get through the rest of the ends here, because I got some things to say about these ends, at least 2 of them. So I'll go ahead and put Noor Jahan in Not Bad, I guess. She's the least interesting of the Indian characters, who are the most interesting of the Boba newbies. So she's like the least interesting out of the most interesting out of the least interesting. She's the least interesting character out of the most interesting group of characters out of the least interesting, like, set of new characters in the show. But anyways, I don't know. She's something. She exists. Okay, moving on. Nia, you know what? I've got plenty to say about Nia and Norman, so we're going to cut off the N's and lump them in with the O's and the P's for the next video. And we're going to cut off there. See ya in part 4 or 5. I don't freaking know at this point. Who cares? Bye.